AITA for bothering a woman at home? My son, 4, had a sleepover last night with a friend. This friend's parents were doing my wife and I a huge favor. Because my wife's father had surgery yesterday, and we needed to be there and didn't get home until after midnight. So yes, this story begins with us already in debt to them. Anyway, at nap time today my son started freaking out because he couldn't find Sleepy Dumbo, his stuffed animal, and he cannot sleep without Sleepy Dumbo. I remembered that when I picked him up I didn't see Sleepy Dumbo. So I text the mom and dad of the friend. I get no response. My wife is a wreck, so I'm not bothering her with this. But my son is freaking out. So I tell him we will get in the car and go get Sleepy Dumbo, and he slightly calmed down. So we drive over and I try to call them both on the way. When we get there, I knock, and we wait a bit with no answer. At this point my son starts freaking out more because he is afraid something happened to Sleepy Dumbo. I try to reassure him, but he starts crying. I knock again, and the wife of the couple answers. She says she is working and asks what I want. I explain about Sleepy Dumbo. She again says she is working, and she says she doesn't have time to look for Dumbo and tells us to come back later. My son starts freaking out more. I ask if we can look. She says she needs to focus. I promise to be fast. She lets me in. We get to his friend's room. Sleepy Dumbo is on the bed. My son gets him, and I hustle us out. I thank the mom, but she is glaring at me. On the way home he hugs Sleepy Dumbo the whole time. I remind him to be more careful with Sleepy Dumbo in the future. And at home nap time commences peacefully. About an hour ago my wife and I both got this text. I'm going to copy-paste it. Me, and my wife. I really don't appreciate the way me barged into my house earlier today while I was working. I know you both have a lot going on right now, but the world doesn't revolve around you. Her husband and I agreed to do you a favor, but that doesn't mean you get to just walk all over us. In the future if you call and we don't answer, that means it isn't a good time to come over. I felt very embarrassed and guilty after reading that. My wife, however, is furious. She called the wife of the other couple some indelicate names. I am really grateful to them for agreeing to babysit for us. And I accept that I am to blame for forgetting Sleepy Dumbo the first time. I don't know if asking to come in and get him is quite as big a deal as she's making it out though. And my wife is pissed. I don't know how much of that is misplaced fear for her dad though. Am I an asshole? Or was this just an unfortunate situation? Yes, of course, YTA. The wife's note summed it all up nicely. The world does not revolve around your family, but you seem to think it does. Extra bad for not wanting to bother your wife but thinking it was okay to bother other people. There are a lot of reasons why knocking on the door could have been extremely disruptive. There are jobs where what seems like a short interruption turns out to be a much longer one because it takes a while to get back into what you were doing. Or she could have been on an important phone call or Zoom, and you made her look unfocused or unprofessional. What would you honestly have done if she worked outside the house and no one was home? Would you have driven to her workplace and loudly demanded her keys? Taken her hostage and made her come home? Or just be a reasonable person and try to find a way to soothe your child for just one afternoon? I think you and your wife had better find a way to figure this out. Because I will be shocked if these people agree to do you another favor after this. YTA for just showing up. I know your son needed his toy, but sometimes you have to teach your kid that you don't always get what you want right away and have to learn to be patient. She clearly was in the middle of something work-wise and didn't want to be disturbed. YTA. Text no response. Call no response. Drive to their house and knock no response. Continue to knock until they answer and ask you to leave. Demand to go in and find stuffed animal. At what point did you think you weren't the op? Gentle and kindly. YTA. She told you to come back later and you didn't accept that answer. That's not cool. And it's not her problem that you forgot it in the first place. Having two of a child's comfort toy makes things so much easier. Both in case one gets left or lost, but also for washing. If someone doesn't answer calls, you show up anyway and they politely explain it's not a good time. It's really rude to insist. YTA. YTA. As a parent with a kid who has a stuffed animal he can't sleep with, I always make sure it's with him when he comes back from any overnight visit. I've also worked at home, and just because I was at home it didn't make me available whenever someone knocked on my door. Leaving my workspace for any reason outside of breaks would have gotten me written up. That's someone's livelihood. My favorite saying is, a lack of planning on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. You know this elephant is important to your son. You make sure it's with him before he leaves. Edit. Darn auto cucumber. Fixed a mistake. Seriously. YTA. Not a gentle YTA. Or a sorta one. But a big giant one. You sent your 4-year-old to a sleepover in the middle of the work week with a friend because you needed help. Then you didn't check for this super special stuffed animal that you absolutely cannot live without, but absolutely won't pay $50 for on eBay, and you left it there. Then you called multiple times, and when you didn't get an answer you rang the doorbell multiple times. Then didn't take no for an answer when you were told to come back later. I work from home. Today is Thursday, and I'm over 40 hours in already. Today alone, I interviewed several developers for open positions, had design meetings with 20+ participants, and gave 2 presentations to senior leadership. Just because I am physically at home doesn't mean I am sitting around watching TV and waiting for my entitled friends to realize they've left their stupid stuffed animals at my house. You owe them an apology, a gift card to a really nice dinner, and a sleepover where you take their kid and give them a break. YTA. She let you know not to do it again. That is all you need to know. In your friend's opinion, what you did was not okay. Accept that for her. What you did was not okay. Apologize. Move on. Absolutely. YTA. Several people I know work from home in contexts such as teaching university classes, providing mental treatment including one-to-one therapy, presenting webinars for state government agencies, interrupting anyone if these would have extreme professional consequences for the friend, now to be known as the former friend. YTA. If she was working from home or online schooling, she could have been in an online meeting or doing a time-sensitive test. YTA. She tried to politely say no after not answering her phone, and the door immediately. You forced your way in on this poor woman. Awful. Yes. YTA. Not even a light one. I think people are letting you off easy in the comments. I work from home. Them not answering the door is your answer. Go away. I absolutely hate people like you who will just sit there and continue to ring the bell or knock. Do you understand how rude that is? Learn to parent your kid. YTA. It was your responsibility to remember to check for Sleepy Dumbo when your son was leaving their house. So, you messed up. Then you show up at their house and interrupt this person's work and insist on coming inside. Their text is completely reasonable. You owe them an apology. Just because your family is going through a rough time doesn't mean you can treat people with no consideration. You have absolutely no idea what you interrupted. Basically forced your way into someone else's home and what? Think it's fine because it's for your kid? YTA. Even though I understand your kid can't sleep with the sleepy Dumbo and is upset over it, you can't just barge into someone else's house like that. You should always keep a backup Dumbo if anything happens to the first one. YTA. Because your child's problem is not her problem, you shouldn't have shown up without permission. Your child needs to be taught that these things happen. YTA. Would the kid not have slept if you were lying beside him? YTA. They are absolutely correct. If they didn't answer your text, that should have told you that it wasn't a good time to come over. You shouldn't have shown up to their house without knowing if it was okay, and you definitely shouldn't have insisted that they let you in. You showed great disrespect for their boundaries and their privacy. I count 8 no's here before op gets to yes. Unanswered texts to mom and dad. 2. Unanswered calls to mom and dad. 4. Knock once. 5. I'm working. 6. I'm working. 7. I need to focus. 8. She lets me in. Wow. Op. I sympathize with your stress, but that is way over the line. YTA. 1. Reflect on your actions and apologize. 2. Think about how to teach your son coping skills. 3. Buy a damn backup.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.